Singapore Airlines is hoping it can fly out of COVID-19 turbulence with a massive fundraising plan. The initiative to raise $15 billion is being underwritten by state investment firm Temasek, which owns 55% of the airline. SIA plans to issue just over $5 billion in new stock at $3 a share. That's 54% lower than the closing price before the announcement. The airline also plans to issue nearly $10 billion in 10-year mandatory convertible bonds. So that works out to a total of $15 billion.
Can you find any country selling 1,000 gallons of water at 3 cents? A price that was fixed way back in 1926. What is sold at 3 cents in 1926, which is sold at 3 cents now? You see, I'm just claiming what is logical, what is right. We are now almost 80 years after the first price was fixed.
This brings me to the third bilateral issue. The price of raw water imported by Singapore from Malaysia under the 1962 Water Agreement, a fundamental agreement. Singapore will fully honor the terms of the 1962 Water Agreement, including the price of water that's stipulated in that agreement, and we expect Malaysia to do so. Then, the core issue. The core issue is not how much we pay, but how any price revision is decided upon. Worth reiterating this point. The core issue is not how much we pay, but how any price revision is decided upon.
Can you find any country selling 1,000 gallons of water at 3 cents?
So, how much does Apple make from the iPhone 12 anyways? Before we get started here, I wanted to make it clear that I'm not criticizing Apple for making money or anything like that. They are a business, and a very successful one at that. I simply find it interesting to try to puzzle together their finances to figure out where our money actually goes. Last year, Investopedia conducted some research into the cost of components used in the iPhone 11 Pro Max, and they came up with this breakdown, which adds up to $490.50. In relation to the purchase price of the iPhone 11 Pro Max, the component cost is approximately 45%. But honestly, I thought their profits would actually be a lot higher given their premium pricing schemes. Don't get me wrong here, they're still profiting a very solid amount.
I'm supposed to be diplomatic, but I think members of this House also know that I call a spade a spade.
PUB asked the tenderer to quote a price for the water, and the concession is 25 years. Please quote a price and don't adjust the price because of cost of electricity. So this is one of the conditions. You quote a price, cannot adjust because of cost of power, electricity.
Coming up tonight, Singapore Airlines reports its worst ever annual loss of $4.3 billion as passenger numbers plunge. This is the Straits Times Newsnight. Good evening, I'm Chow Suen. Singapore Airlines has reported its worst ever loss of $4.3 billion after what it calls the toughest year in its history.
We all know that Singapore is a developed country, it's a very rich country. Its currency is 3 times higher than our currency, although before they were the same. And yet, they are asking a poorer country to subsidize their economy and their growth.
Dr. Mahathir, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, was reported to have made comments yesterday in Johor. And he asked, and I will quote, how Singapore, as a rich nation, could pay such an unreasonable price, unreasonable rate for raw water sold by Malaysia under the 1962 Water Agreement. So on that note, I will let members of the House and fellow Singaporeans outside decide for yourself whether we have been fair or, to quote Dr. Mahathir, whether we have been morally wrong. I think the answer is obvious.